All right, welcome back to another episode of Not Financial Advice. Today is going to be a part two on a previous video I had published entitled Coinbase is a Value Stock. Coinbase has just reported earnings, and so I wanted to give my viewers and any other interested parties an update on what I called out 2 months ago and where we're sitting at today. So I'll ask you to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and let's just do a very fast recap of how my portfolio is done today. Sitting near all-time highs, $71,600, give or take. I'm up 1.16% to the market 0.58. Um, we had a lot of outperformance in the Russell 2000 small cap index. And so you can see these top five names here are smaller cap, more risky type names. And then you can also see that the names which did most poorly today were sort of large cap growth, the ones that have been doing the best for the last 12, 18 months. So to the topic of today's video, Coinbase. Today, Coinbase was up 3.3%. I currently have a total value in the stock of $1,800. On Coinbase, let's see how much I'm up all time. Total gain, Coinbase. Just let's do by name. Okay, so Coinbase will be all the way down here. So I've got however much. So I'm up 109% on Coinbase, and that brings me back to the topic of today's video. So Coinbase has just reported earnings. They are up after their 3.3% gain. They're up over 9% in after-hours trading. The stock is currently trading for $166. And so now what I want to do is just real quick go through a recap of the value I placed on the stock using a rough DCF 8 weeks ago when the stock was trading for $140, understanding that the stock is likely to open at about $180 tomorrow. So a $40 swing on a low dollar price stock in just 8 weeks is a pretty big deal. Let's tune in here and see what I had to say just so you can get caught up to speed. Grow at only 10% of the size of the growth rate of the company itself. So $140 stock. Let's see if we can get an idea of the fair value on the stock. I'll ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and we're going to get right into it. So using all the metrics and figures that we saw from Qualtrum and a little bit of my own tabulations here, we've got an average free cash flow of $1.6 billion a year over the last 4 years, $5.3 billion in cash, $3.4 billion in debt, 222 million shares outstanding. Now, what I've done here is I went as conservative as possible, and I projected the growth rate, not based on what I was seeing with the stock, but just based on projections for this overall category. So I put in a growth rate of, I think this is very, very low, but I put in a growth rate of 12.5%. 7% and 3%. So being 1% of your portfolio, if this goes to zero, that has to be fine. And if 100x, we'd love that. Anywhere in between would be satisfactory. So I think a standard discount rate with these conservative projections is reasonable. $140 stock value, $186. So we're going to look at two different scenarios here to see what we can come up with. I think that based on the growth that I was seeing from that company, it was growing at something like 125% a year. I'm just going to put in 30, 15, and 3 and see what we come up with here. I think this might be a little bit more realistic, but because this is a little bit weird, let's put in a higher required rate of return at 15%, see what we come up with for a value. So in that case, we see a value of $240. So previously, a pretty demanding valuation showed the price of this $140 stock at a fair value of $186. When we add the $240 valuation with a higher required rate of return, which I think is reasonable, what we come up with as an average between the two scenarios is $213. And that's what I would say. I think this stock is worth around $213 a share. So $213 a share. So 8 weeks ago, we were taking a look at Coinbase stock. It was trading for about $140. Let's see where that was. So the video was here. Had you been watching my channel and heard that there's been about an 18% gain in the price of the stock, and we're going to be now looking after hours to about 2x that. It's up about 13%. And so the reason I made this video is 10% to gloat, 90% to ask you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you've seen a few of my videos and you're not subscribed, you should. I always try to bring the most compelling ideas that I have to my audience. And so, that pretty much covers a lot of that. Let's just end this video out here and see how Coinbase did on their on what earnings were expected. So they're expected to do 27 cents of earnings per share, as well as $818 million in revenue. So what they actually did was a dollar for a share. So they like 4 or 5x their EPS estimates, and they were expected to do 818 million. They did 905 million in revenue. So a huge beat on Coinbase. Real quick video, not going to do a lot of editing on this, but if this is your first time checking out my channel, I'd love to have you as a new subscriber. If there's anything I can do for you, any questions you have, any stocks you'd like for me to review and put a value on, leave that in the comment section below. Thanks for popping in, and I'll see you on the next one.